Alright. Hei sann, alle sammen. Dagens webinar skal handle om studier i storbyer, om muligheter som du har i storbyene. Så i dag så har vi med oss representanter fra Hult, Mercy College og University of Westminster. Så webinaret i dag vil vare i cirka en time med spørsmål til slutt. Så hvis dere kan skrive spørsmål på engelsk i chatten, så hadde det vært egentlig helt supert. Så først skal jeg gå gjennom en kort introduksjon om hva soner er, og hva vi kan hjelpe dere med. Deretter skal vi gå gjennom litt ofte stilte spørsmål som vi får, litt tips til studenter som vil studere i storbyer, og så skal vi ha presentasjonene fra universitetene. Og så helt til slutt skal vi ha en liten Q&A, hvor dere har muligheten til å stille spørsmål og få svar på de direkte fra universitetene. Så det kan hende at det er noen av dere som allerede har vært i kontakt med Sonor, men for dere som ikke vet helt hva vi driver med, så er vi kort beskrevet en gjeng med tidligere utenlandsstudenter, som nå jobber med å hjelpe norske elever med å søke seg til studier i utlandet. Våre studieveiledere har studert i blant annet Storbritannia, USA, Australia, Mexico og Nederland. Så med andre ord, vi kan egentlig gi de aller beste tipsene og dele veldig mye av våre erfaringer. Så vi har jo da samarbeid med universiteter i 5 engelskspråklige land, USA, Storbritannia, Singapore, Australia og New Zealand, men vi hjelper også med opptak til medisin- og tannlegestudier i Sentral-Europa. Så vår jobb er jo egentlig å hjelpe deg med å finne et universitet som passer for deg, basert på dine ønsker og din bakgrunn. Og det er også greit å vite at all hjelp som du får av oss er gratis og uforpliktende. Så du får blant annet utdelt en personlig veileder, som kan hjelpe deg med valg av universitet og grad, alt som går med selve søknaden, stipender og alt annet økonomisk. Også dette med praktisk informasjon før avreise, dette som går på lånekassen, visum, bolig og så videre. Sånne type ting kan vi hjelpe dere med. Så jeg tenkte egentlig ganske greit å starte med å fortelle om meg selv. Jeg har jo egentlig alltid elsket USA, og min fascinasjon i USA begynte i veldig tidlig alder. Og jeg har bare bestemt på at jeg måtte dra til USA på en eller annen måte. Jeg visste ikke hvordan, men jeg visste at jeg skulle dit. Så min første tur til USA var i 2. klasse på videregående, da jeg dro på utveksling til Montana og bodde der i et år. Så etter at jeg hadde besøkt vertssøsteren min, hun som jeg bodde med da i et år, og besøkte henne på colleget som hun gikk på, så visste jeg at jeg også måtte igjen studere på universitetsnivå i USA. Jeg elsket egentlig bare følelsen som jeg fikk av frihet, av det å bo på campus. Det virket bare så morsomt, og alle virket så lykkelige, og en slags stolthet over skolen som de gikk på. Det var noe som jeg også hadde lyst til å oppleve. Så med en gang jeg kom hjem, så kontaktet jeg Sonor. Så jeg fikk hjelp av de til å søke meg på et universitet som egentlig hadde alt som jeg var ute etter, som da het Eastern Connecticut State University. Definitivt en munnfull, der jeg tok en double major i sosiologi og kriminologi. Så etter det så bestemte jeg meg for egentlig å prøve noe helt nytt, og da endte jeg opp med en 1-årig mastergrad i Storbritannia, og turen gikk da til University of Bristol, som også er en av våre samarbeidsuniversiteter. Så jeg tenkte også å gå gjennom noen ofte stilte spørsmål. Så det er mange som lurer på om man får støtte av Lånekassen til studier i utlandet, og da er svaret ganske enkelt ja, Lånekassen støtter alle våre samarbeidsuniversiteter. Dette går jo også over til dette med pris, da det også er litt vanskelig å gi et sånn eksakt svar på hva ting kommer til å koste, fordi det varierer ut fra lengden på graden din, selve graden du begynner på, hvor du bor, universitetet du begynner på, og så videre. Et annet spørsmål som vi ofte får går på dette med språktest, om det er nødvendig. Så 4 eller bedre engelsk gir ofte fritak på engelsktest, selv om det er noen universiteter som krever dette uansett for sine søkere. Så det siste spørsmålet handler om det er noen spesifikke frister som man må forholde seg til, og da er svaret at det varierer også fra universitet til universitet, som jeg alltid sier. Så det kan være smart å på en måte stille spørsmål om dette allerede når dere tar kontakt med oss, så er egentlig begynnelseprosessen da, for å si det sånn. Så nå i disse koronatider så kommer det også litt spørsmål rundt dette med reise. Så som ting ser ut nå, så er det jo mulig å reise i Storbritannia, Singapore, USA og EU-land, selv om det er veldig mange universiteter som nå har gått over til nettundervisning. Uansett, så per dags dato så er grensene til Australia og New Zealand stengt, men det er mulig å enten utsette studiestarten, for eksempel et semester eller 2, eller så er det også mulig å starte studiene online. Så vi får jo også ofte spørsmål om hvordan man skal få til alt det praktiske hvis man ser for seg studier i storbyer. Og vi har jo som sagt mye erfaringer, og vi snakker med studenter hver dag. Vi har funnet en liten liste over tips på smarte og kanskje ikke fullt så smarte ting å gjøre mens man studerer i storbyer. Så det første er jo da å sette opp et budsjett. Det høres jo i utgangspunktet kanskje ikke ut som det morsomste, men dette er noe som man bør gjøre, rett og slett. Dette kan jo gå på ting som mat, selv om det generelt sett er billigere å i hvert fall kjøpe mat og mest sannsynlig spise ute i utlandet, så er dette veldig dyrt i lengden. Et annet godt tips er jo å utnytte skolens ressurser. Så ofte så har man tilgang på typ treningssenter, campus shuttle og sånne type ting uten ekstra kostnader, så det kan være smart å sette seg inn i også. Man får faktisk veldig mye mer enn det man kanskje tror når man betaler skolepenger. I tillegg til dette så får man jo ofte studenttilbud som man kan benytte seg av mens man er student, og det er også noe man kan spare penger på i løpet av graden sin. Men jeg vil si at det viktigste er sånn sett å bli godt kjent med byen som du skal studere i. Uber kan jo bli veldig dyrt i lengden, og du kan spare veldig mye med å kjøpe et busskort og egentlig utforske områder på den måten. Dette går jo også på dette med bolig. Selv om det kan høres mest fristende ut å bo rett ved siden av campus, sånn at du kan bare rulle ut av senga og dra på forelesning, så er det ofte ikke den gunstigste løsningen, for å si det sånn. Best tipset er jo egentlig bare å være åpen. Du kan prøve å kontakte tidligere studenter og høre hva de anbefaler. Kanskje det er noen som kjenner noen som leier ut et rom. Men det er uansett mye å spare hvis man ser seg villig til å for eksempel bo i et kollektiv, eller bo et ekstra stopp eller 2 unna skolen med T-banen da. Så ja. Et annet tips er jo da å kjøpe brukte skolebøker fra studenter som tidligere har tatt fagene som du nå skal ta. Som eksempel så kjøpte jeg faktisk en skolebok i min studietid, brukt på Amazon for $6, som skolen skulle ha, jeg tror det var $85 for. Så det var definitivt noe som jeg skulle ønske at jeg var klar over første semesteret, da jeg brukte 3-4 tusen kroner på skolebøker, men jeg kunne kanskje brukt 500. Så jeg nevnte jo dette at du kan jo kontakte tidligere studenter. Så hvis du ser på hjemmesiden vår, så kan du også lese litt mer i dybden om andre studenter sine erfaringer. Noe som kan være veldig greit for å bare sette seg inn i liksom, studiehverdagen og litt sånne praktiske ting. Og det er også mulig å kontakte disse studentene og bare hei, hvordan var det? Så vi tar jo også og setter studenter som skal til samme sted i kontakt med hverandre. Hvis det er noe man ønsker, så kan man også snakke med noen som er i samme situasjon som deg. Ja, men tilbake til storbyer. Vi samarbeider jo som sagt med universiteter som ligger i USA, Storbritannia, Australia og New Zealand. Nå skal dere få lære mer om studier i USA og Storbritannia. Men du kan gjerne kontakte oss dersom du vil vite mer om andre steder, selv om det er steder som vi ikke skal gå gjennom akkurat nå. Jeg tenker, so first out, we have Annie from Hult. Let's see.
Hei, alle sammen. Takk skal du ha. Mitt navn er Annie Hitzler. Jeg er halvt norsk, halvt svensk, født og oppvokst i Oslo. But because you guys are here to learn about studying abroad, I'm going to do it in English. So I'm going to share my screen and my PowerPoint with you. So I also want to ask you guys a question. Everyone is here listening because that is what we do at the school I represent. We make the lectures interactive. So I want you to write in the chat box. If you can see at the bottom of your screen, there's something that says chat. And I want all of you to write what city you are currently in, city or town in Norway. So I'm in London, and you have to make sure that you're typing to everyone. So everyone can see Trondheim, Oslo, 2 from Trondheim, Bergen, Bø, Oslo, Førde, Trondheim, Oslo. Oi, wow, we have someone in Spain. I'm so jealous, Kristiansand. Stavanger, very cool to meet you guys. So we always do this at the beginning of all of our Hult information sessions, but we usually ask, where in the world are you from? And it's the most incredible countries, like some you might not even have heard about, that pop up in the chat box. But it's cool that even with coronavirus, it gives us opportunities to meet across cities online. So as I said, my name is Annie. I am working for Hult International Business School. And what is unique with our school is first and foremost our global campuses. So we are one institution, meaning that if you apply to Hult and you get accepted to Hult, you are accepted to all of our campuses. And does anyone know where our campuses are? Does anyone recognize any of these pictures? You can write in the chat box again. So it should be, I should give you a little hint where one of our campuses are. It's where I am right now. It's the first day of lockdown. Any ideas? Do you recognize any? London, Shanghai, Boston, New York. Wow, Jonas, you know a lot about Hult already. Dubai, exactly. Dubai, London, Boston. Good job, Håvard, Camille, Jonas, very good. That is correct. Hult has a campus in London, San Francisco, New York, Shanghai, Boston, and Dubai. So if you apply to Hult and you are accepted, you can say, I want to start in London, go there for 1 year, then you can do a semester in Boston, and then you can do a summer rotation in Shanghai, and then maybe you miss London and you miss being close to home. So you finish your bachelor's degree in London or your master's. So the other thing that is unique about Hult's campuses around the world is that we are always very central. So a lot of universities will say, you have some universities that call themselves maybe University of London, but then they are half an hour south of London with train. So it's important when you look at the university that you want to go to that you check their location. So in Boston, we are in an area called Cambridge. So we are, I would say, half an hour from MIT and maybe 20 minutes from Harvard, and just 15 minutes into Old Town. So super, super central in the heart of Boston. It's beautiful there, I've been there myself. Boston is actually the #1 city for startups. So if you have a creative mind and you maybe want to start your own and meet people who want to start their own companies, then Boston is definitely for you. Here you can see inside our Boston campus. All of our campuses are super light and bright. Actually, just like where I'm sitting right now, as you can see, there's glass walls and windows. And this is kind of the Google, Facebook style where we want everything to be open and bright, because we believe that ideas are better shared if they are in an open and bright environment. We also have a completely new campus in Boston. It was finished August this year. So we have dorms on site, we have a climbing wall, a football field, as you can see here, cafes, dorm rooms, classrooms, everything is on campus and everything's completely new. So it's very, very nice. And then we have our campus in London. So here you can see the campus, the undergraduate campus, which is the bachelor's campus. It's a very cool story. It used to be like hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It was a beer brewery, and then it was a whiskey distillery, and then it was used for lots of different things before Hult bought it in 2014 and made it into a school. So you can see we're again super centrally located in London. This is what is called City. You might recognize the Gherkin and the walkie-talkie over here, and lots of famous buildings. And then in this area, you have what is called Shoreditch, which is a startup area. It was hip and cool, like up and coming 10 years ago. So a lot of startups moved there, and then now it's just booming with entrepreneurs and creative minds. So you have the banking and consulting here, and then the entrepreneurship area here. As you can see, this is the old building, so the old brewery and distillery, the brick wall, but then we took out everything inside and made it super modern and light and bright. And there's even a balcony with grass on it, which you don't find very many places in central London. So again, super cool. And here you can see the outside of it. In the background here, you can see where the students can stay, their dorm rooms, the student accommodation. So you can choose if you want to live on site. So in this building, or as Liselotte said earlier, if you want to find a private, like a collective with friends in a different apartment somewhere else in London. That's completely up to you. And then we also have San Francisco. This is only a 10-minute walking distance from the financial district. So also super central, right by Chinatown. Again, very modern inside, open, bright. We also call the campus for the office and not for the school, really, because we want to prepare you for life after school, and then you will be in an office, maybe, if you're not working from home. And we call it work email instead of student email, and you call the professors by their first name instead of professor and then last name, because we want this like work environment at campus. And here you can see the Hult campus in San Francisco from the outside. So what is also unique about Hult is that we're quite flexible. So if you come from Norway and you are doing the normal Norwegian vitnemål, like the high school, the videregående skole, or you're doing the IB, if you complete that, you will automatically get 30 transfer credits, which means that instead of doing a bachelor's degree in 4 years, which is normal for American schools, which Hult is, you will do it in 3 years. But if you want to finish before 3 years, you can do summer classes. So you can actually study during the summer, and the classes you take and the credits you get, they will count towards your bachelor's degree. So the average time to finish a bachelor's degree at Hult is actually 2.7 years and not 3 years. So that is something you can do, or if you get a job opportunity and need to take a year off, you can do that as well. But as you might have noticed in our name, we are a business school. So we focus on business only, that is our expertise, and that was what we focus on. But a lot of people think that business is numbers and finance and economy, but it's not. Well, it's that too, but not only that. So what you can specialize in if you come to Hult and study business is business analytics or finance, as I talked about, if you like maths and numbers. Or maybe you're, as I said, super creative and you want to start your own and you want to make the world a better place. Then maybe entrepreneurship is for you. Or you love talking to people, you love being around people. One day you want to be like an amazing business leader, and maybe you can do management. Or marketing. Our marketing class, a couple of weeks ago, they went to Burberry's headquarters to see how Burberry works with their marketing. So that's another thing. By being so central in the cities that we're in, we're so close to the big headquarters and the big businesses and also the small startups that you can work closely with them. So you will learn about the world if you study at Hult. One, by rotating around our campuses, you will learn about American culture in Boston. You can learn about London, and then you can go to Shanghai or Dubai to learn about other cultures and other traditions. So what is, I would say we are one of the world's most international business schools. So you will not find one single nationality that represents more than 8.5% of the student body. Meaning if you're in a classroom with 40 people, you will have a minimum of 20 nationalities in your class. I was actually at campus, which is open during COVID. I was at campus the other day and I met my Norwegian student, Martin, and he was like, oh, meet my new best friend from Mexico and my other best friend from Hong Kong. And they were going out for lunch together. And super, super cool to see how you make friends from all around the world. Actually, the dean at Hult, he says that if you do Hult correctly, you will never have to pay for a hotel ever again, because you will have friends from all around the world, so you will always have a place to stay. What you will also learn at Hult, which we think is incredibly important, is that you will learn about the future. Can anyone guess what I mean when I say learn about the future? You can write it in the chat box. Or why is it important to learn about the future? No? No one? Come on, guys. You can write in Norwegian. There we go. Good job, Lynn. How business evolved with time? Absolutely. Plus points to Lynn. So that is correct. It's so important to learn about the evolves and how we change, because change is everywhere. It's actually estimated that 40% of all US jobs will be automated by 2030. And you might think, oh, that's so scary, 40% of the jobs will be gone. But there will be new jobs because of the new technology that is emerging. So you can also see it as an opportunity. But it's important that when you decide what to study, that you think about where will. Oh, can you hear me again? Perfect. So that is why you will learn this at Hult. You will learn about artificial intelligence, about blockchain, robotics. We're not going to teach you how to trade in Bitcoin, and we're not going to teach you how to build robots, but we're going to teach you what this means for business, because it will, without doubt, be a big part of business. Another thing you will learn at Hult is about yourself. And that is because the #1 predictor of executive success is self-awareness. So if you don't know how to lead yourself, how are you going to know how to lead others? So you will do this by growing, working on your strengths, and then also working on your weaknesses. So if you don't like public speaking, for example, you have two choices. You can go to a school that will never ask you to stand in front of a class and talk, and you can get a job where you will never have to present for anyone, and you will be very comfortable for the rest of your life. Or you can have a growth mindset, and you can think, I don't like public speaking, I'm scared of it, I'm not good at it, therefore I want to go out in the world and learn how to do it and get comfortable with it. That's called a growth mindset, and that is something we very much focus on at Hult, to make you a better version of yourself. So you will do that by working with real companies. These are some of the companies that we worked with last year. Here's an example. Tobias Mikadsen from Trondheim. I saw there were a lot of Trondheim people in here. He used to go to our San Francisco campus, and then he started working for Apple in Silicon Valley in California, and now he started his own company after 2 years at Apple. So he's a success story from Norway, who really, really learned about himself and used his network at Hult to move on. And then in all of our campuses, and what is the fun part about studying abroad versus studying in Norway, is that you have clubs and societies that you can join. So you have professional clubs like Model United Nations. This is in Oxford, where a group was there to role model United Nations. Then you have fun clubs like Chocolate Society. This is Jonas from Venezuela. He loves chocolate, so he started Chocolate Society. And then you have Video and Media Club, you have music clubs, you have Women in Business Club, you have all of these professional and fun clubs. And then we also do sports club. And the Hult football team is actually the best in London. We won the London University Football League last year. So we're very proud of that. I think that's because we're so international. We have the Brazilians, the Germans, the French, the Argentinians who come to Hult and play football. So I'm not going to talk too long. I'm just going to show you a little bit what happens after people graduate from Hult. We're very proud of our statistics that 99% of our graduates are in jobs or taking a master's degree within 6 months after graduating. The average starting salary is 470,000 Norwegian kroners, and more than half of our students actually work in a country that is different from where they're from. So they're kind of like me. I went to UK to study, and now I'm still in the UK. I live in London. I will come home one day, but not yet. And here you can see the top companies that they work in. So you have everything from finance to fashion to consulting to marketing, everything you can think of within the business world. We also have a masterclass with one of our entrepreneurship professors on the 17th. So if you want to see what a Hult class is like, then please add me on Facebook, Annie Ritzler Hult, or send me an email, and I'll be very happy to tell you more about our global campuses and our program. So thank you very much.
Okay, so now it's time for Sonia at Mercy College. You're going to learn a little bit more about how it is to study in New York.
Amazing. Hi, everyone. I am Sonia. Thank you so much for joining. We have such a wonderful turnout, and thank you, Annie, for finding out where everyone is from. It made me really jealous and sad to see all of these cities that I would normally be in person. I would probably actually be getting back to New York right now, but I would have been in Norway last month. So miss you guys a lot, but really happy to be here. My name is Sonia. There is my contact info, but best to go through Sonar. We've been working with Sonar for, I think, 12 years now. I think, Lizette, you said you applied to Mercy back in the day when you were thinking about where to go to school. So we've been working with Sonar for a long time. We love Norwegian students. We love coming to see you, and we have a really great Norwegian presence on our campus that I'll talk about too. So I'm going to first tell you a little bit about Mercy as it relates to New York. I know we're here to talk about studying in the big city, and New York is one of the biggest cities. So we say this a lot of schools in New York say this, but the city really is your campus, and that's because we have multiple locations throughout New York, and our students from day one are really involved in the city, the community, both on and off campus. So when you think about Mercy College, we want you to think New York. That you'll probably recognize these pictures there at the bottom. We have the Brooklyn Bridge on the bottom right, the Statue of Liberty. Both of these landmarks or monuments are very accessible from our Manhattan campus. You can walk down to Battery Park in about 45 minutes. You can hop on the train, it takes you about 10. The Brooklyn Bridge, I'm actually in Brooklyn right now, working from home, and that is about a 15-20 minute train ride. So New York, that's what Mercy's known for. That's why I moved to New York for opportunities like this. And yeah, so I think when you think Mercy, think New York, know that the city is here for you, and we're here to help you find out what you can do in it. I also just want to chat quickly about the Sonar advantages so that you know from an application standpoint. We have a similar system that Annie talked about where you can start with us at Mercy as a sophomore. So that means you start in the second year. If you are a Norwegian citizen, you've done IB, you've done Vietnam, you've done one of those two curriculums, you're also automatically accepted right into your second year. So you can complete your degree in 3 years with us, which is great because it saves you time and money. We also waive your English proficiency score. In most cases, you have to have a score of 4 on English to waive that proficiency. So that is great. You don't have to take TOEFL, don't have to take IELTS. I know from experience being in Norway, your English is the same or better than maybe some of the people from the US that you'll find in New York. We're really smart here, but you'll also see that, I mean, there are so many languages here, there's so much going on, and we're happy to accept you directly without needing to test your English level. We also offer really great scholarships through Sonar, specifically for Sonar students that are not tied to your grades, your SAT score, any you don't really need to prove your grade level or your English level to receive that scholarship. It's automatic through Sonar. And we also help you with the Lånekassen funding. And we're also open to having students that want to come for that full bachelor or master, or just come for a gap year or a semester. So what does your life look like at Mercy? I will walk you through what it will be like the moment you've set foot on campus. So a little bit about what our student body is made up of. You can see there on the bottom left, we have a little over 10,000 students at Mercy. We're what's called a mid-size school in the United States or in New York. We are a private liberal arts school, so don't let that scare you off thinking we're crazy expensive. I'll tell you a little bit more about tuition later, but our undergraduate population is around 6,000 students. So that's our bachelor-seeking students, and the rest are at the graduate level. So it's a pretty good split. We're about 50-50 men and women. And on the right, we have representation from 40 states and 49 different countries. Similar to, Hult, similar to Westminster, we're very international. We have students from everywhere, but we have a pretty small international population. It's about 2% of that 10,000. So we have about 200 international students on campus from 49 different countries. Norway is our highest sending country, but that said, we still have about 20-25 students from Norway on campus at any time. So you're gonna meet people from all over the world. Even if you, hang out off campus, you're going to meet people from every single country. In the US or in the New York Department of Education and our high school system, we have, as of this year, a student from every single country in the world is in that system. So New York is really known as a very diverse, very, crazy diverse city. You can hop around the 5 boroughs. You'll see, Little Italy. Koreatown is 5-minute walk from our campus. So you're really getting the city as your campus. For our real campus, we have 3 of them in New York City. So you might recognize that little building there. That's the Empire State Building. Our Manhattan campus, where I usually am, where I will be next week working live from the office, is right next to the Empire State Building. It's about 100 footsteps away. When I walk to work, it feels kind of surreal. I get off the train, I take about 20 steps to our door, and then I look up to the right, and there's the Empire State Building. It often feels like I'm kind of in the center of the world, center of the business world, and it's a really wonderful way to wake up when I get to work. Dobbs Ferry campus, so if you go a little bit north, that looks like a long way, but it's about a 35-40-minute train ride from the city up to Dobbs Ferry. Dobbs Ferry is what we call our flagship or our main campus. I'll show you some pictures of all of these in a moment, but when you think of the Dobbs Ferry campus, if you've seen movies, TV shows about the US, that's very much what it looks like. It's really traditional, it's very green. Students live on that campus, students also live in Manhattan, but Dobbs Ferry is very much, all-American kind of feeling. And then we also have the Bronx Campus, which is where a lot of our business students and computer science students spend time, because that's where our innovation lab is. That's where we hold many of our business, coding, cybersecurity conferences and competitions. So when you apply to Mercy, you're applying to all of these campuses. And depending on your major, depending on where you live, where you'd like to take some classes, you can hop around. You're not limited to only Manhattan and only the majors offered there. It's pretty flexible also. As you'll find in the United States, education is very flexible as far as deciding what you want to study and where and when. So I'll show you some pictures, kind of paint a picture of what we're like. This is the Dobbs Ferry campus, that's Main Hall. If you walk in there, turn right, that's where my office is when I'm at this campus, the admissions office. Dobbs Ferry in acres is about six acres. So it takes 20 minutes to walk all around the campus. So it's pretty accessible, easy to get around, but also has walking paths, hiking paths. You can bike to the town of Dobbs Ferry. It's very quaint, very safe, but also with great access to New York itself. Here's some other pictures. If you've watched some of those movies, TV shows, you might have heard about the quad. Kids are always meeting on the quad. So that top left is a picture of the quad. If you live on campus, you'll live in one of those 2 residence halls. One of them is Hudson Hall. And then we have multiple dining, cafes. You can get New York bagels, New York pizza, everything on campus, all very lovely, situated in one spot. You can also live with us. Just like Hult, you don't need to live on campus. You can if you'd like to. I usually recommend students do it for the first year because it really helps you meet people, make friends, feel comfortable. It also encourages you to meet your professors more because you can just walk over to their office, set up a time to chat, and we have dormitories on 2 of our campuses. So we call this the scenic Hudson River Valley because Dobbs Ferry overlooks the scenic Hudson River. And on this campus, we have two halls or 2 dormitories, Hudson and Founders. Right now, they are singles and doubles because of COVID. We do have students living on campus. Usually you would live with 1 to 3 other people. Right now we're limiting that to living alone or living with 1 other person. Also have our Manhattan campus, which is my favorite of the 3 because it is my home campus, but it is, like I said, center of the city. If you've been to New York, if you've walked through Herald Square, we're right on 34th and 6th. So we're in the center of the city. We're one of the only schools in the city that has a real campus right in the metropolitan area. So this is our building here. We have 3 of the floors. We have dorms, classrooms, facilities, offices, all housed in this one building. So it's very convenient and easy to get around. Here are those 3 floors that I was talking about. You can live in what we call Midtown. So Midtown Manhattan, it means what it says. It's right in the center. That floor up there, the 7th floor, is the dorms, and then the 3rd and 4th are where you would study, learn, hang out, make your new best friends, and be in the city. Again, right now, COVID's a little different, but in dorm 34, we have doubles, triples, and quads. Right now, we have singles and doubles. The Bronx, like I said, is a much more kind of commuter campus. So you don't live at the Bronx, but you visit the Bronx. You can hop on the shuttle between the campuses to get to the Bronx. and you go there to visit our innovation lab. We have really great career services there. A lot of our students will work out of the Bronx campus if they have an internship in the Bronx. So it's kind of just another satellite place for you if you'd like to use some of the facilities there. If you do nursing, you'll definitely spend time in the Bronx. And it's just a really great way to have campuses in 3 central locations around the city. So what you can expect at Mercy, what you can expect in New York. We know that New York is big, it's crazy. We have students coming from everywhere around the world, and we also have a lot of students that are maybe the first person in their family to go to college. They're new to it, their parents don't really, can't help them navigate it, and your parents aren't going to be with you at college. So we offer you a lot of support. So at Mercy, even though you're in one of the biggest cities in the world, home to 8 million people, there is academic support in your field. So in the 5 schools that we have here, we have business, liberal arts, education, social and behavioral sciences, and health and natural sciences. So we have over 90 different programs and certificates. I would say for our international students, they're mostly majoring in business. They're doing computer science, cybersecurity. We have a wonderful international relations and diplomacy program that I believe we have 5 Norwegians in right now. And on the master's side, we have MBA and business analytics. So all of these programs are open to international students. Like I said, we have a really diverse student body, so our international students are in every single major. I'll go through and just highlight some of my favorite programs in each of these schools. I love our psychology program because we have students working in hospitals, working with our counseling center, working in private practice through internships in every sort of specialization. If you're interested in addiction, if you're interested in kind of linking psychology with criminal justice, that's something a lot of our students do. So in the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences, psychology, sociology, criminal justice are some really cool programs at Mercy. Let's go quickly through this. Social understanding, like I said, psychology, social work, and sociology. And we have law and diplomacy. So the international relations and diplomacy programs actually within this school too. That is one of my favorite programs because we have a wonderful relationship with the United Nations, which again is about a 20-minute train ride down to the main campus of the UN. Our program director for the International Relations and Diplomacy program actually came to us from the UN, so she has wonderful connections. Our students are constantly interning there. International students are placed pretty easily within that, atmosphere. So International IRDP, as we call it, I think is my favorite program at Mercy. Here they are. They're also doing some Model UN. Look how happy they are to learning. We also have our School of Business. So business is our largest school at Mercy. We have faculty with, I think the last time they published this was with 750 years of experience. We have faculty, CEOs, leading entrepreneurs that are working in the field right now and also coming and teaching at Mercy. So that is a huge, huge benefit to being at Mercy, not just that Mercy offers, but if you study in New York, just by walking down the street, you're going to be walking around people that are huge influences in the world. Here are some of the majors we have in business. We've got data analytics, entrepreneurship, finance, international business, marketing, and anything you'd want to study within the business world. Oh my gosh, I lied. It's only 435 years. I doubled it. But we need you to come also work and add to those years. All right, so what you can expect at Mercy, other than those wonderful majors that I just highlighted, is that you will be working and experiencing things outside of the classroom and also with us through clubs. We have, I think, about 100 clubs on campus. We have an international student club, biology club, environmental sustainability club, and the Model UN. And here are some of the examples of internships. I also should have mentioned one of the other programs I love at Mercy is our TV production and our design and animation programs. One really great thing is at many schools, students don't have access to those labs or those facilities right away. At Mercy, your freshman year, you can go into the design and animation lab, you can go into the music production and recording studios, and you can take classes in those right away in your major. So you don't need to worry about, especially as a Norwegian coming in your second year, about completing a lot of prerequisites and waiting until maybe your last or your second to last year to get access to those facilities and those professors. You're going to do it right away. So that's why we have students that are working at Marvel, at NBC, at Wired, for Amazon, and places like that. So I'll quickly go over the most fun part of the presentation, which is money. Mercy is very proud of our affordability and our accessibility because we think that makes our student body more diverse. It makes our students more dedicated, interested in putting all they have into their education. And we want to be open to people from everywhere. Open to who you are is one of our slogans. So you can kind of compare here with other schools in New York and also in the US. Mercy's tuition down there on the left is right around $20,000. So that's per year, that's for your tuition. So for your classes, facilities, all that fun stuff. And then you can just compare it to some of the other schools in the area that offer similar majors, similar, locations, similar programs to ours. So we're really proud of being able to keep our tuition low and still keep our quality high. And also that Sonar scholarship for international students. So if you apply through Sonar, you're accepted, you come to Mercy, you're guaranteed that $3,000 per year, which is about 15% of tuition. Loan costs and funding, I feel like is changing all the time depending on the exchange rates, but Sonar can definitely help kind of figure that out with you too. So you're seeing how much you're actually paying out of pocket. Last year when I was in Norway, it ended up that if you applied, you had the Sonar scholarship, you take the loans and the grants, you're maybe spending $1,000 a year. About what we're doing now, you can see I am at home, but I will be in the office next week. And I think I might have paused. Am I back? Okay. So what we're doing right now, like I said, we do have dorms available. We have students living in our dorms. I just hung out with 2 of our Norwegian students, I think 2 weeks ago in Manhattan, who are living on the 7th floor. We also are doing in-person classes. So if you're applying to school, you're thinking about studying in the US, you're going to hear the word hybrid all the time. That means that you're both in person and online in a mixture. At Mercy, it's what you're comfortable with. So our international students, I would say 90% of them are coming to class at least once or twice a week in person, and then also learning in Zoom or on Blackboard or one of the other ways that we're delivering our education right now. So that is all I have for you. I love it here. I love New York. I've been here for about 3 years, and every day is different. You might be scared about coming to one of our schools or to the US right now because of COVID, understandably, but still thinking about all of the opportunities it'll bring you just from being on one of our campuses internationally, even if you are going to be on Zoom a little bit. Be on Zoom from New York. It's great. We have outdoor dining right now. It's my favorite thing ever. Happy to chat with you with any questions, and thank you all so much.
Thank you. So we're moving on to Mikkel from University of Westminster. We're going to learn a little bit more about London. That was my horrible attempt at saying that with a British accent. Yes.
Hello everyone. Just going to try sharing my screen. For some reason it won't let me. So here we go. Here we are. So sorry about this. Here we go. So I've been very jealous listening to everyone, seeing all those really nice cities. As I said, my favorite city being New York, seeing all those pictures about Boston, San Francisco, it makes me very jealous. I want to get on a plane and travel somewhere. So hopefully we're going to get there soon. We're all in this together. Yeah.
You can see all of your screen, like your notes and everything. Just letting you know.
Oh, right. It's a bit weird. I'll just.
No worries.
If you go to display settings, maybe.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Sorry about this, people. Yeah, I'll try again. Is that better? So hopefully see the big screen. So my name is Mikadsen from London. So about London itself, London's a very, very big city. There are over 45 different universities where you can study a degree, bachelor's or master's degree. In the UK, there are 3-year bachelor degrees or 1-year masters. London is the world's #1 international city. Similar to what we've just heard, there's students from all over the world studying in this big city. Just at Westminster alone, we're a large university of 19,000 students that come to us from over 160 different countries and nationalities in the world. There is any subject you can think of studying here in London. A university here will have a subject for you. There are over 30,000 different courses, right from A to Z, from accounting to zoology. Big city with over 100 cinemas, over 7,000 pubs and bars. Today they're all shut, unfortunately, because of the first day of lockdown. But as I say, that hopefully when you come in September, we'll all be back to normal. Lots of venues for music, lots of parks. London is quite a big city, being very big. There is lots of royal parks and green spaces scattered around the city itself. So what does London have to offer you? Firstly, and quite importantly, is industry links. London being the financial and creative capital of the world. Each day, there are over 1 million different businesses operating within 30 kilometers of the university. There are lots of famous landmarks. So if any of you have been to London before, you may have seen Big Ben, the London Eye, Buckingham Palace, Westminster Abbey, to name a few. If you're interested in arts, there's museums and art galleries that you can visit, being the Science Museum, the National History Museum. Most of these places are free for students as long as you show your ID card, your student ID card. You can visit these iconic places evenings or weekends. If you enjoy shopping, you won't be disappointed. We have a campus in Oxford Street, within a minute's walk away from Oxford Street, and Oxford Circus Station being the busiest and most famous high road in the UK. There's Harrods department store and big shopping malls. There's as mentioned, lots of parks like Regent's Park, Hyde Park. If you're interested in theatre, looking at world premieres, we have the West End in Leicester Square, Trafalgar Square, within walking distance to our campuses. All the famous actors come and have their premieres. If you like sports, London is home to 6 Premier League football clubs, the Olympic Park that staged the 2012 Olympic Games, and the home of tennis in Wimbledon. And if you enjoy going to music gigs, festivals, during the summer periods and throughout the years, there are countless amounts of live music, concert events, big arenas where all famous DJs, artists come and perform. So this is really just a highlight. London is such a big city, but there is something for everyone. Whether you're interested in arts, whether you're interested in shopping, in culture, in sports, in music, you will not get bored with studying in London. A great place to study, work, and get practical experience within your studies. So London's broken up into north, south, east and west. So really just to show you what things are in different parts of London. So I'm talking to you now from North London. So yeah, I live in North London. So there's many iconic places like Alexandra Palace, Regent's Park and London Zoo, Hampstead Heath, which is a big park. Looking at Alexandra Palace, you can see panoramic views of central London, great views in London on a nice clear day. There is Camden Town and Camden Lock, one of my favourite part of London. Lots of nice bars and places to see, lots of markets as well. The Roundhouse as well is excellent for nightlife. Looking at East London, completely different side. There's places like Brick Lane, Spitalfields, Columbia Road markets. These are very famous markets where you can buy anything from artisan food to jewellery, very quirky places. There is City and Canary Wharf, as you can see, mentioned earlier, so the Gherkin, you can see, so really much the bank central in the city. Lee Valley Park, as I mentioned, the Olympic Park. South London, so say north, I live north, I very rarely go to south, it's like the divide north and south, but there's many places like Greenwich, the South Bank, Embankment, the Globe Theatre, the Tate Modern, London Eye, Borough Market, another famous market in London, and the Cutty Suck. And then looking at West London, you have the Natural History Museum, the V&A Museum, the Science Museum, Kensington Palace, as I mentioned, Harrods in Knightsbridge, Richmond Park. And then focusing on central, because this is where most of our campuses are based. So we have Chinatown, Covent Garden, Buckingham Palace. I'm sure if you've been to London, you will have walked past or gone to visit nearly all of these places: Leicester Square, Shaftesbury, Avenue, Trafalgar Square, and then Oxford Street and Oxford Circus. And this slide here just shows you a map of central London, and it pinpoints where our campuses are. So we have 4 campuses in total. 3 are in central London. So the first is Marylebone, which is opposite Madame Tussauds Regent's Park in Baker Street. So if anyone's familiar with Sherlock Holmes, that's the home of Sherlock Holmes and his statues just outside Baker Street Station. That's where we have our Marylebone campus. To the right of that, we have our Cavendish campus next to the BT Tower. And then just below, we have our Regent Street campus. You can see my mouse hovering. That campus is on Regent Street, within a minute's walk away from Oxford Circus, which is here, and then the whole of Oxford Street, Marble Arch leading to Hyde Park. So if you study in our campuses in London, you're within walking distance to all of these places: St Paul's Cathedral, Trafalgar Square, St James's Park, Buckingham Palace, King's Cross. You can get trains to the rest of the UK, really commute around London itself, and get trains to Paris, Amsterdam, and Brussels as well. Our 4th campus in the top left-hand box is called Harrow. That's in Northwick Park. That's in northwest London, and that's where we teach art courses, and I'll talk more about what you can study on each of our campuses. But from Harrow to get to our central London campuses, it's exactly a 17-minute underground or metro journey. So say about 25 minutes, you're in central London, door to door. And this is the metro system map. So for anyone who has been to London, I'm sure you're familiar with this. Just gives you an idea of where our stations are according to our campuses. So you can see our 3 central London campuses are by Baker Street Station, Oxford Circus, Warren Street, and then our 4th campus in Northwick Park. And the blue dots, the blue houses, that's where we have our halls of residence. So at Harrow, you can live on campus. It's a green, like a traditional campus university. Our central London campuses, they are more site city campuses. So you would live in Wembley, which is here, if you're studying a bachelor's degree, in Wembley Park, opposite the Wembley football stadium of the national team, and Wembley Concert Arena. And it will be 1-2 stops to get to central London on a direct train, and then you can easily walk to the campuses. So our Cavendish campus is where we teach School of Computer Science and Engineering, Life Sciences and Social Sciences. So those courses you can see there on the right-hand side of your screen. You would study on Cavendish our bioscience courses, computer science, nutrition, psychology, games computing. Our Regent Street campus, very traditional building, as you can see on Regent Street, is where we teach humanities-based subjects like criminology, English, languages, politics and international relations. And we have our Westminster Law School based within Regent Campus. And we have a separate building in Little Titchfield Street, which is our law campus. Our Marylebone campus is our biggest. It's where we have our architecture and cities courses, and where we have our Westminster Business School. So courses in accounting, finance and economics, business and management, HR and marketing. I should mention as well, so you study 3-year bachelor's degrees in the UK. You can also take a 4th year option for most of our courses, where you can do a 1-year work placement and work for 12 months in between your studies, or do an Erasmus exchange or study abroad year and go to one of our partner universities in Europe or anywhere in the world and study that subject in that country. And if you do this, it will be in the 3rd year of your 4 years. 2 years you study at Westminster. Your 3rd year, you can either work for 12 months in a paid practical work experience, and then, or you can study abroad, and then you come back in your 4th year to complete your 3rd year of studies. So it's a great opportunity for you to get 1 year's work experience or an extra year of studying abroad within your degree. And all major companies have placement positions or work experience jobs for students, and essentially you'll be paid being a full-time employee, placed at Mercedes, Apple, Facebook, Google, IBM, computer software companies, they all have placement student job positions for students, and we help you find jobs during that 1 year. Then our last campus in Harrow, so our 4th campus, is where we teach School of Arts and School of Media and Communications, where we teach art and design, fashion, TV, journalism, music, photography. And this campus especially is where most of our famous alumni have graduated from. So if you've been westwards, linked to our fashion design course, Sigala, not sure if you've heard from listeners in Norway, but it's a very famous DJ, graduated with us a few years ago. Asif Kapadia graduated with us, and he directed the Amy Winehouse movie and Senna movie, and recently won Oscars and BAFTAs in his work on the Amy movie. So just to name a few of our alumni, what they've gone on to achieve. So looking at entry requirements, so students doing our 3-year bachelor programs, we look for a minimum score of 4 within your Vitnemal. And for students listening today interested in the 1-year masters, so you'll see you need a minimum score of 3. And similar to Mercy, we accept a grade of 4 in your Vitnemal for English as achieving IELTS 6. And then we also look at, for postgraduate, 6.5 overall. And then we have lots of other tests that you can take. You can take a test in Sonar offices, or we can offer you a free online test that you can take, which is equivalent to IELTS that our university accepts. And looking at our fees, so for a bachelor's degree student doing a 3-year course, the fee for next September 2021 is £14,400 per year. As I mentioned, that will be for 3 years. The master's degrees does vary greatly, so just look on the website for the exact fee. And we offer lots of scholarships to UK, European and international based students. So we're one of the biggest scholarship providers in the UK. This is the first year sort of post-Brexit. So we're going to be offering lots more scholarships that are available on our website. We do offer a Sonar specific scholarship. So that's something that you can apply for just for applying through Sonar office. We offer a scholarship just dedicated to Sonar applicants. They're all Merit-based scholarships, so we look at your grades, support the chance of getting the scholarship. But I do recommend looking on our website, seeing what scholarships we have available. And of course, we do accept funding within Norwegian funding as well. How to apply is through Sonar offices. Counsellors can give you advice on how to make the application, but it's through a central admission system called UCAS. Things we look at is your completed online application, your personal statement or motivation letter, so why you're interested in a particular course, your education background, what you do outside of school really does help in your motivation letter or personal statement. A reference, we look for 1 academic reference, and then your certificates if you've got them from high school or from your university. And that's me, so that's my contact details. And Michaela and Raimundo, if you have any questions after this event, by all means, please do contact your counsellor at Sonar, or you can email me m.raimundo@westminster.ac.uk. We have virtual open days, as is the world at the moment. So if you do want to see what the campus is like, have a virtual tour, we have a virtual open day on the 28th of November for undergraduate students. If you just go to the website, westminster.ac.uk, /open day, or on the main page, you can register for the open day. I do encourage you, not just ours, but any other university you're considering. Unfortunately, restricted on actually going to university and seeing it face-to-face in person, but the next best thing, check it out online. You get to speak to current students studying the course you'll be studying, academics teaching the course, so you find out more academic specific subject knowledge about the program, what you'll be studying, with excellent facilities, so you get to see these facilities, very high-tech, modern university. And of course, we've got the various social media channels. Thank you very much for listening. Just before I leave you, I'll leave you a quote from Samuel Johnson, who is a famous English writer and poet, who said the same: when a man is tired of London, he is tired of life. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll hand you back for any questions that you have.
Okay, I think it's time for our Q&A. So I've gotten a few questions sent to me. You can send them to me directly, or you could just send it to everyone. So I'll start off by asking, would you say is the biggest advantage of studying in a big city compared to a smaller city? I don't know who want to go first.
Should I go?
Want to go, Annie? Yeah.
I would say the opportunities. There are so many incredible opportunities, and there is something for everyone. So one of my favorite things about London is the music scene and the cultural scene, the musicals, the concerts, the live bands, the little jazz cafes, the restaurants with live music. There's so much music everywhere. But of course, it is the international, wherever you go, you will hear different languages. And I mean, I was in Brazil last year at a wedding, at my colleague's wedding in Brazil, and it would have never happened if I stayed in Norway, studied in Norway, worked in Norway, just met Norwegians. So you really get to experience the world, and you get an understanding of different cultures and opinions, and you just grow so much as a person when you are in a big city and get all of these influences. That's my 2 takeaways.
Yeah, for me, I'll just add, so really the networking and the industry links, the fact that you're in the center of the big city, where it's London. Many industries headquarters are based in the big city. So if you're interested in a creative arts course, like music, fashion, probably 70%, 80% of all the creative industries are based in London. So the networking you get with all of these industries, in getting the contact details, building up your resume, your CV, get that work experience, guest lectures, guest seminars we have. So in terms of politics and international relations, we have guest speakers visit the university. So that work experience, that connection, you get that networking really does help from that. When you graduate, you're in a fantastic position to find employment, which is essentially our role as a university. You're coming in to make yourself employable. So definitely the industry links is a major plus being in a big city.
Yeah, I would echo all of those things. I'll also just share something I really love about New York. I think I mentioned it during the presentation, is the food. There are 25,000 restaurants in New York, restaurants and bars, and they're always open. Even now, they do have to close at 11 p.m., but it's the city that never sleeps. So food, arts, music, opportunities are all kind of built in if you go to any of these big cities. Also, honestly, just convenience. Like, New York's really convenient. You can get somewhere very quickly on the subway. If you break your phone, you can go get it fixed, and then 2 hours later, it'll be better. So that seems, I know there are internships, there are jobs, there are all these wonderful things, but one of the things I love most about New York is food, arts, accessibility, and the diversity that is everywhere.
Very good answers. Is it safe to study in a big city?
Yes. And I would say on college campuses, we do a lot to make it even more safe for you. I don't know if you guys have specifics other than me just saying yes, but go ahead.
I agree, but it's, I mean, we shouldn't be naive either. It's just, take the smart route home. Don't take the shortcut, but that goes for any city in any world. And I feel extremely safe in London. I've never felt unsafe, but I also don't walk with my wallet here and my phone here. And I have a purse with a zip, but I've never felt unsafe. But just, I mean, wherever you are, if you're in an airport or in a big city or in a small city or anywhere in the world, of course, be careful and maybe don't take that tiny shortcut without any lights, and you don't really know who's on that little street and behind that wall, but take the main road with the lights and the people, and you will feel safe.
A big thing on US campuses is that they're usually blue. At Mercy, they're blue. They're emergency stations, and you press it and campus police appears within 1 or 2 minutes. So that is a very kind of American campus sort of thing, but we're really worried or concerned and aware that New York is a really big city. There is a lot going on, but we do everything we can to make sure that we have security, at least on campus, and then are really working with the community around it to make sure everything is,
Completely agree with the comments. So anywhere you're on campus, it's safe, secure. There's many contact points in your accommodation to get to your room. So on university, it's as safe as can be, and echo everyone's comments when you're in a big city. Avoid the dark streets, essentially. But yeah, London is a safe city. I've lived here all my life, and I've never felt unsafe here.
That's good. So we got a specific question. I think that would probably more so apply to you, Miguel. Does University of Westminster have a Bachelor of Arts in Youth Justice? You might have to check that out. Just
in youthful justice, was that?
Youth Justice, yes, that's the question.
Okay. We have so law courses and politics and international relations degrees. So law, it will very much be the traditional UK law degree where you're studying modules to win UK qualifying law. We also teach other courses like European legal studies, but they're very much traditional UK law degrees. Our politics and international relations courses, you can study so international development, politics in the UK, European politics, but they're the closest fits.
A different question here. Well, thank you for a great answer. So are there any, I know that you guys kind of talked a little bit about it, but are there any internship opportunities while completing your studies?
Yes. To graduate from Hult, you need to have had an internship. Like, you will not be allowed to graduate without an internship, because an internship is one of the mandatory classes at Hult. So you will get credits for it, but you will have to do, I believe it's like a minimum of 100 hours of internship. And we have an amazing careers team on campus, and all they do all day is to get companies to come to campus so you can network with them and give you internships, like send you out on internships at those companies. And they also help you make a development plan. So within the first semester after you've started Hult, you are asked to come to the careers team to sit down with one personal career advisor and talk about what you want to do, what internship you want, what you want to work with. If you don't know, that's completely fine. They will help you find, again, what are you good at? What are you less good at? What do you enjoy doing? What kind of job would you see yourself in the future? And then they will help you make a career map, like a roadmap to get that career. So they will help you with applying to internships, help you with CV workshops, do mock interviews. So before you have an interview, they will sit down with you and pretend like they are the interviewer. So you get to practice that. And they will give you all of these opportunities. Of course, you have to do some of the work yourself, but we have an amazing careers team. And if you want to have the internship in Norway, or if you want to have the internship in London or Boston or any other place, that's okay, as long as it's relevant. And if you want to do it over the summer, that's okay. Then you save time and money again. So yes, internship opportunities are huge and mandatory.
Yeah, and similar, as I mentioned, with most of our courses, you've got the option of doing the 4 years, where you would take a full 12 months working in industry related to your course. We help you find these positions, whether you're studying a business degree, psychology, biomedical science. There are jobs within all these industries, whether it's working for an NHS hospital or laboratory, gaining practical work experience to support your studies. I did the placement job myself, and it's a great opportunity to find employment once you finish. As I said, all the major companies do have that student work experience. In terms of part-time jobs, we encourage students, especially in the first year, to support with living costs and your own experience in living and working in a city. So we help you find part-time work in London, being higher minimum wage than it is outside of London. We have jobs on campus for students that are tailored around your course. So it's not every Monday you're working dedicated. It can be flexible around your timetable. So we can help you find part-time jobs during your studies, but as I say, most importantly, for when you graduate and your work placement year.
Yeah, same pretty much same info on our end. We do have quite a few programs where internship or clinicals are required, and we place you in a lab or in a hospital or a clinic in the city. We also support our students on on-campus work. We have some of our Norwegian students are actually starting to do virtual tours for prospective students. So they're like on their phones, walking around campus, talking with other students that are interested in coming but can't come in person. So any school in the US, definitely continue to ask about career services and what is offered there, because every school should have that. But a lot of it also does come down to you and how motivated you are, because we're here to help you, but you also need to make sure you're helping yourself, getting prepped, doing that internship preparation for interviews, resume, because it's a little, yeah, I mean, we want to help you, but it's also on you too. So you need to make sure that you're motivated and doing everything you need to do.
So last question, unless anything else shows up. So what differences can we expect compared to studying in a city in Norway? So that would be probably like, you know, like Oslo has a couple of 100,000, and, you know, these are millions of people kind of cities.
I mean, I would go back to, I actually studied in the UK for 4 years, and then I moved back home because I thought I wanted to go back home, and then I realized that Norway's tiny, very little. And very many people have the same opinions, and we look the same, and we dress the same, and everyone is quite similar to each other in Norway, I think. So when you go to a big city, you just grow so much as a person, and you learn so much about yourself and about the world and about all the possibilities that you have. And then you form your own opinions, and you become more like your own person instead of the same person as everyone else. And as Sonia said, the food, like it's just, the opportunities are so many. I feel like I'm rowing away from the question. What was the question? It was just what, like the big difference between an international
Studying in Norway and a bigger city.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, yeah, getting that, meeting people from all around the world, and getting that understanding of different cultures and different places. And it's so much more bigger. It's so many cool things you can do in big cities. There's restaurants, like there's an Alice in Wonderland themed afternoon tea restaurant where you can go and you will like sit at the hattemaker's bord. You just don't find these things in Norway. And all of these jazz cafes and live music and different foods. You have Chinatown, you have Little Italy, you have all of these places that you don't really have in Norway. And you make friends from all around the world. As I said, you don't really have to pay for a hotel when you go on vacation, because you will have friends who live there that you can stay with. So, and I also think it gives you more opportunities at home. If you've studied abroad and you come home to Norway, and they see that you didn't just go to BI or NHH, which are great schools, but you actually took the step to move to a different country and a different city. And that shows that you have that growth mindset that I talked about. And you show the employer and the company back in Norway that, you know, I took that step, I went out of my comfort zone, I moved to a different country, and I'm now fluent in English. So I think it gives more opportunities when moving back home as well.
Yeah, and just to add, for me, it's the biggest one. It is opportunities. So what you can do after. So I'm Italian background, so I've got family. I've studied in Italy, and for students that their education in Italy is very good, excellent universities, but the opportunities you get in UK, they equip you for the real world. So once you finish, you're learning life skills on campus. We're teaching you practical elements, not just theory. We're teaching you what the industry requires of the workplace once you finish, and you're getting that experience, that opportunity during your studies, and ultimately succeeding in your career paths.
Yeah, just from my experience in Norway, one of the reasons I really love Norway and Oslo, Trondheim, Alesund is that there are spots of New York that feel like those places. For example, if you're walking through the West Village, that felt very much like walking through the center of Oslo. We also have a lot of H&Ms here, so you'll feel really comfortable. It's a little bit dirtier here, I would say, just to be honest. Walking through New York, you might see a little bit more trash on the ground, but you'll also have a lot more opportunities to try the restaurants. Again, very into the restaurants. And just the diversity, I think, is the starkest difference from walking around Oslo or Tromsø versus New York, is that you're going to see people on the train. If you're in the train, like the subway, in your car, you're going to see people from 20 different places, and you're going to hear 20 different languages. So I think that's probably the biggest difference, and something that I really love. But I also really loved when I was in Norway thinking, okay, this transportation system makes sense. That's very similar to New York. Much of the way the city's designed really makes sense, and that's kind of how New York is too. So there are pros and cons of both, but I think just like the vast differences that New York has to offer are the biggest changes.
Great answers, everyone. Last question, unless anything else shows up, but are first-year students part-time jobs often related to their degree, or are they mostly random? I'm not sure if the student is referring to after their degree is completed, or internship, or while they're completing their degree. Not
our first-year students part-time jobs. I'm assuming he means working while studying.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I think during their
degree. Yeah.
So I think it's exactly what Sonia wrote in the comment below. You can have something that if you want to study finance, then maybe you can find a part-time job either at a startup, or you can shadow and help the CFO there, the finance people there, or maybe in a big bank, or you can help campus with their finance, or you can have a part-time job at like a cafe or a restaurant, or it's up to you, but and up to the opportunities that exist. But I would suggest you go to the careers team and tell them that you want a part-time job while studying, and kind of what area you would like to work in, and then they could help you and give you advice.
All right. Well, I think it's time to end our meeting. Thank you, everyone who participated, and those of you who listened and asked questions. It was great. It was very nice to meet you all during this crazy time. And yeah, like Sonia wrote here, we can link you up with any of the people that have been presenting today. So just reach out, email us, email them, anything. So have a great night, everyone, and we will talk soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.